I have schizophrenia, and my sister-in-law keeps whispering at me in an attempt to drive me insane. My wife is on her side. I have schizophrenia, and I truly believe that when my sister-in-law moved into our house, she started trying to drive me insane. She started whispering at me, and when I asked her what she said, she'd pretend to be worried and say nothing. My reason for thinking this is because the voices only occur around her, and previously to her moving in, I hadn't experienced anything like this in quite some time. It took months of her supposedly whispering around me before my first breakdown, during which I silently cried in bed telling myself it's just her, and I'm not insane. But then, after a second breakdown, mere weeks after the first one, I told my wife, Clara. When I did, she looked worried at me, not because of the possibility her sister was doing this, but because of what she thought might be happening to me. She kept telling me that her sister would never do such a thing. Clara's reassurance that her sister would never intend harm didn't ease my mind. If anything, it put me more on edge. The whispers I heard when Nadia was nearby seemed too natural, too frequent to ignore. I watched her more closely, noting how she often muttered to herself when she thought no one was looking, and how she lingered in doorways, lost in thought. I started to pay more attention to the sounds in our home, trying to catch clear words or phrases from Nadia that would prove I wasn't imagining things, but the more I listened, the less I seemed to understand, hearing only bits that made no sense. Clara's frustration with me grew as she saw me becoming more withdrawn and obsessed with proving Nadia was whispering. Months passed, and even though I was taking my meds right and seeing my psychiatrist regularly, the whispers that I believed were coming from Nadia continued. My doctor had adjusted my medications several times in an effort to subdue what was diagnosed as auditory hallucinations, but no adjustment seemed to make a difference. Every tweak brought a flicker of hope that quickly faded as the murmurs continued. The more I heard, the more I studied Nadia's every action, every whisper, every subtle glance she made, I saw as a confirmation of her intent to weaken my mental health. I was certain she was whispering just low enough for me to hear, but without enough clarity for me to confront her directly. I felt Clara watch my condition worsen and could sense her growing concern. Initially, she dismissed my accusations as a symptom of my illness, trusting her sister completely. However, as my fixation on Nadia's supposed whispers intensified, so did the tension within our home. Clara found herself in a difficult position, torn between her loyalty to her sister and her commitment to support me. One evening, the situation escalated dramatically. While walking down the hallway, I heard it, a whisper, clearer than ever, unmistakably from Nadia. It was a simple, sinister murmur, just audible enough to catch. My heart pounded as I rounded the corner into the kitchen, where I found Nadia, a glass of water in her hand, seemingly oblivious to my presence. I was so over it at this point. I couldn't hold back any longer. I yelled at her. I told her to quit the charade and just admit it was her whispering to me. I then asked her why she was doing this and what she could possibly gain from it. She acted like she didn't know what I was talking about and began to cry. She cried and ran out of the house. I knew she was going to call Clara, and I panicked. Clara hates it when she gets calls while she's at work. I could only imagine how mad she would be when she found out about my confrontation with the whisper.
Click the link in my profile to watch the exciting follow-up.